very good morning. You're watching Breakfast News on Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's start with the headlines this Monday morning. Uttarakhand High Court to pronounce judgment on the fate of rebel Congress MLAs today ahead of crucial trust vote on Tuesday. Another sting operation against Harish Rawat, claiming he is trying to buy legislators. Public Accounts Committee of Parliament likely to take up contentious AugustaWestland Case. Investigators claim vital leads on Indian contacts of middleman Christian Michel. This as former Defence Minister A.K. Antony targets BJP for altering operational requirement. Nepal government invites Madhesi Front for talks in fresh bid to resolve political crisis. Nepal's ambassador to India stays put despite reports of Kathmandu's decision to recall him. Greece adopts controversial package of pension cuts and tax hikes despite mass public opposition. Bows to creditors' demands in a bid to unlock next tranche of badly needed bailout funds. And polling begins in the Philippines to vote for new president, vice president and senators. Tight security across the country as violence had marred the political campaign. Starting with the top political focus, the fate of the 9 disqualified Congress rebel MLAs will be known today, as the Uttarakhand High Court is slated to deliver its judgment on their plea against the Speaker's move. The state is slated for a floor test tomorrow, and amidst this comes yet another allegation against former Chief Minister Harish Rawat.
The Uttarakhand High Court is to pronounce its judgment on the fate of the 9 disqualified rebel Congress MLAs today. The decision will come a day ahead of the floor test in the State Assembly. The High Court heard a plea by the MLAs challenging their disqualification by the Speaker. The Supreme Court had earlier barred them from voting during the trust vote. And in the midst of heightened political temperatures comes another sting video targeting deposed Chief Minister Harish Rawat. The purported sting video allegedly shows conversation between rebel Congress MLA Harak Singh Rawat and Congress legislator Madan Bisht. The latter is purported to have said that Harish Rawat was giving the money he had earned from mining to his MLAs to keep his flock together.
It clearly confirms that Mr. Harish Rawat's government has no support. They are resorting to, evidently, as the news sting suggests, illegal methods of trying to somehow get support for themselves. Already, in the earlier sting, a case has been registered. Now we have an offer of a bribe in one sting, and other side people accepting that they have taken a bribe. So I don't know, this is what is going to be the implications of this. But one thing is there, that the Congress government there has no moral standards to somehow be in power. And secondly, with a floor test that is under the Supreme Court order to take place on Tuesday, this kind of input clearly shows that they are resorting to every means to somehow stay in power.
बीजेपी वालों ने कैसे हमारे 9 विधायकों को खरीदने का प्रयास किया, वो दिखला रहा है या नहीं दिखला रहा है, वो भी दिखलाना चाहिए ना। अगर कोई न्यूट्रल आदमी है, जब भी फ्लोर टेस्ट होता है उसके एक दिन पहले क्यों मोदी जी डरे हुए हैं फ्लोर टेस्ट से, ये बात समझ में नहीं आती है। और खुल के आना चाहिए सामने मोदी जी को और उनके लोगों को। तो अगल बगल, अरे मोदी जी ने जो 9 एमएलए उधर डिफेक्ट करने की बात कर रहे हैं, जिनकी सदस्यता समाप्त हो गई है, उनको अपनी तरफ ले जाने के लिए या कांग्रेस के विरुद्ध करने के लिए मोदी जी ने क्या क्या हरवा इस्तेमाल किया, क्या क्या बांटा, क्या क्या लिया दिया, ये तो बताना चाहिए।
The BJP and the Congress have issued whips to their MLAs to be present during the crucial vote and the disqualification of the 9 MLAs. After the disqualification of the 9 MLAs, the effective strength of the House is 62, out of which 61 MLAs will participate, barring the Assembly Speaker. The figure to prove a majority in the House now stands at 31.
देखिए, जो स्पीकर है 10 शेड्यूल में वो सर्वे सर्वा है। ये जो विधायक हैं वो 10 शेड्यूल को तोड़ कर गए हैं। 2/3 बहुमत जब होता है तब कहीं आप बाहर जा सकते हैं। तो जो 9 विधायक उन्होंने गैर कानूनी काम किया है और कोर्ट को इतनी देर नहीं करना चाहिए था।
At present, the BJP has 28 MLAs, Congress 27, BSP 2, while there are 3 independent MLAs and 1 legislator of the Uttarakhand Kranti Dal P. 9 MLAs are Congress rebels and 1 is a BJP rebel. However, the Congress enjoys the support of 6 MLAs of the Progressive Democratic Front.
हरीश रावत जी की जो दादागिरी थी, जिस तरीके से उन्होंने विधायकों को एक चपरासी की तरह बना रखा था, विधायकों के आत्मसम्मान के कारण उन्होंने विरोध किया और आज भी कई ऐसे विधायक हैं जो कांग्रेस में उनके नेतृत्व को बर्दाश्त नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। तो हमें उम्मीद है कि उनका जो माफिया गिरोह के रूप में उनका काम करना, माफियाओं के सरगना के रूप में, मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में उनका काम करना, उससे उनके ही दल में विद्रोह हो रहा है। और हमें उम्मीद है कि यह जो प्रोटेस्ट है ये कांग्रेस और भारतीय जनता पार्टी का नहीं, ये माफिया मुख्यमंत्री चाहिए या नहीं चाहिए, इसके ऊपर।
Meanwhile, Harish Rawat has alleged the central agencies are being misused to harass MLAs and leaders who were being threatened and their phones getting tapped ahead of the trust vote in the State Assembly on Tuesday. In Delhi, the union government will present the Uttarakhand budget for 2016-17 and table the Uttarakhand Appropriation Vote on Account Bill 2016 to replace an ordinance today. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And from Uttarakhand over to Bihar now, in a shocking incident of road rage, a class 12 student was shot dead at point-blank range in Gaya district by the son of a legislative council member. The incident took place on Saturday merely because the young boy tried to overtake the MLC's son's high-end Land Rover. Now, the accused is still absconding. The police have detained his father and one security guard who was travelling with the accused at the time of the mishap. The incident now has triggered massive protests against the Nitish Kumar government. A wave of protests against the Nitish Kumar government in Bihar. This in the wake of the brutal killing of a class 12 student by the son of a ruling Janata Dal United legislator in Gaya district. The incident took place on Saturday night when the victim, Aditya Kumar Sachdeva, along with 4 of his friends were returning home in his car after a birthday party. The boys riding a Swift Desire car overtook the MLC's son Rocky's Land Rover, infuriating him so much that he sprayed multiple bullets at the boy's car. One of the bullets pierced through the rear window and hit Aditya in the head, killing him instantly.
हम लोग तो पीछे थे, हम लोग को कुछ दिखा नहीं, विजुअल कुछ नहीं था वहाँ पे, पूरा नाइट था तो हम लोग कुछ नहीं दिखा। तो उस वजह उसमें से फिर ये सब हुआ तो भैया ने आगे गाड़ी बढ़ाई तो पीछे कुछ थे, कोई थे, उन्होंने फायरिंग किया, हमारे दोस्त बीच में बैठे हुए थे, उसी में उसकी।
Rocky Yadav has since then been on the run. His father Bindi Yadav and guard Rajesh Kumar, who was travelling in the car with Rocky, have been arrested.
2 अरेस्टिंग्स हुई हैं, एक जो है बिंदी यादव उनकी हुई है, दूसरा जो बॉडीगार्ड है उनकी। Trades are being conducted. I am sure we'll get success in this.
The incident has now taken political overturns. Leaders cutting across party lines have demanded justice for Aditya's family.
मुख्यमंत्री जी को बताना चाहिए क्या यही कानून का राज है, क्या ऐसी कानून के राज के लोगों ने उनको वोट दिया था और मुख्यमंत्री की चुप्पी आश्चर्यजनक है।
बिना किसी बात के कंसिडरेशन के कानून को अपना काम करना चाहिए, निष्पक्ष जांच होनी चाहिए और कानून को इस मामले में किसी को कानून को अपने हाथ में लेने का अधिकार नहीं।
This is very serious, more particularly because those who are related with this incident are relations of some members of Legislative Council, and therefore it assumes greater significance. I think the Chief Minister will personally look into it and ensure that such instances don't take place.
Amid mounting pressure, the state government has assured stringent action against the accused as per law.
चाहे कितना भी बड़ा व्यक्ति हो, उस पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई हम लोग करेंगे। और ऐसा नहीं है कि पहले नहीं हुआ है, पहले भी आपने देखा है ऐसे अगर मामले आए हैं, अगर कोई निप्त पाया गया है आपराधिक षड्यंत्र में या किसी भी तरह का, तो उस पर सख्त सख्त हमारी सरकार ने कार्रवाई करने का काम किया, किसी को बख्शने का काम नहीं किया।
RJD Supremo Lalu Yadav also condemned the incident.
सख्ती के साथ पुलिस कार्रवाई करे, एकदम बहुत गंदा काम किया है, इस तरह का टॉलरेंस मैंने एरोगेंस नहीं चलने दिया जाएगा। चलो सख्त कार्रवाई करे सरकार।
The shocking incident has once again brought to the fore the issue of worsening law and order situation in Bihar, with the opposition alleging that Jungle Raj is once again back in the state. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Over to Rajasthan now, where a political fight has erupted over the dropping of references to the contribution of Jawaharlal Nehru to the freedom struggle in Class 8 textbooks. The references to Nehru have been removed from 2 chapters in the revised social science textbook, which will be introduced from this academic session in schools affiliated to the Rajasthan Board of Secondary Education. The Congress is fuming over the development and threatening an agitation. Though the book is not available in the market yet, the information has been uploaded on the website of the Rajasthan State Textbook Board, which publishes the book for the State Education Board. The book has references to Mahatma Gandhi, Veer Savarkar, Bhagat Singh, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Subhash Chandra Bose, and has included the name of a leader of the freedom movement, Hemu Kalani. But there is no mention of Nehru either in the chapter on freedom movement or that on India after independence.
व्यक्तियों जिन लोगों के योगदान से इस देश की नींव बनी है, जिन लोगों ने अपने खून पसीने से इस देश को सींचा है, उन लोगों को आप किसी चैप्टर से निकाल दें या किताब में से हटा दें तो लोग उनको भूल जाएंगे। ये बहुत इनकी बड़ी गलतफहमी है। कांग्रेस पार्टी इसका विरोध करेगी, हम लोग सड़कों पर आएंगे और मैं कहता हूं राजस्थान में इस प्रकार की अगर पढ़ाई कराई जाएगी जहां इतिहास को तोड़ मरोड़ के प्रस्तुत किया जाए, वो किसी को एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं होगा। हम लोग इस सरकार से मांग करते हैं, चाहे वो केंद्र की सरकार हो, चाहे ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री हो, चाहे गवर्नर साहब हो, कि इस प्रकार की जानबूझ के डेलिबरेटली उनका नाम हटाया गया है। ये बहुत एक ओछी सोच है और मुझे शर्म आती है कि आज ऐसी सरकार बैठी है जो नेहरू जी का योगदान को बताना छोड़िए, उनका नाम किताब से हटा देना, ये बहुत बड़ी भूल है, बहुत बड़ी गलती है और सरकार को इसके लिए माफी मांगनी चाहिए।
देखिए, सवाल सिर्फ एक व्यक्ति का नहीं है। आरएसएस और बीजेपी का सबसे जो परेशानी है वो राष्ट्रीय आंदोलन में आजादी के संघर्ष में उसका कोई नामो निशान नहीं था।
To neighbouring Haryana now, where former Chief Minister Bhupinder Singh Hooda has alleged that the state government is pursuing vendetta politics against him. Now, the claims came after the Haryana State Vigilance Bureau registered a case of cheating and corruption against him, as well as 4 other officials who were in Hooda for allegedly re-allotting a plot to Associated Journals Limited in Panchkula back in 2005. The case under various IPC sections, including criminal breach of trust by a public servant, cheating, criminal conspiracy, and under the provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act, was registered against Hooda, the then Haryana Urban Development Authority chairman, and ex officio post held by him as chief minister, and 4 other top officials of Hooda then. An officer of SP rank would probe the case under the supervision of an officer of IG rank or above. The Bureau has alleged that the act by the then Hooda chairman and the officials had caused a huge financial loss to Hooda, as the plot should have been sold through open auction instead of being allotted again to AGL.
ये इस सरकार का काम ही दो है, जनहित का कोई फैसला नहीं किया इन्होंने, बदला और बदली, सरकारी अफसरों की बदलियां और राजनीतिक द्वेष से बदले की भावना।
विजिलेंस डिपार्टमेंट अपना काम कर रहा है, वो हम किसी डिपार्टमेंट के काम में दखलंदाजी नहीं करते हैं। हर एक विभाग को अपने अपने काम करने की स्वतंत्रता है। उनको लगा है कि कहीं कोई गड़बड़ हुई है, गलत चीज उन्होंने पाया है, उसके अंदर उन्होंने एफआईआर की है, शिकायत दर्ज की है।
पॉलिटिकल विरोधियों से बदला लेने की बात हो रही है और पॉलिटिकल विरोधी उनको कांग्रेस से खतरा नजर आता है, हुड्डा साहब से खतरा नजर आता है। इनेलो तो उनसे मिली ही हुई है, बी टीम है उनकी, तो हम उनके सबसे बड़े, कांग्रेस उनके सबसे बड़ी प्रतिद्वंदी नजर आती है, इसलिए वो डरे हुए हैं। और पदाधिकारियों का सो उठ के रोज 2, 4, 10 पदाधिकारियों का खट्टर साहब ट्रांसफर कर देते हैं।
देखिए, नेशनल हेराल्ड का मामला भी जो है वो काफी गंभीर है, काफी घपले, घोटाले और गड़बड़ झाले से भरा हुआ है। इसलिए जो है वो जो भी उसमें दोषी होगा उसको सजा मिलेगी, उसके खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी।
Time for a very short break here on Breakfast News. Lots more coming up on the other side.
One of the most influential revolutionaries of Indian freedom struggle, Shaheed Bhagat Singh. Born into a Sikh family, patriotism flowed in his blood at the age of 13. When he formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha to spread the message of revolution in Punjab. In the wake of avenging Lala Lajpat Rai's death, Bhagat Singh and his associates coined the catchphrase Inqilab Zindabad. But towards the end of their rebellion, they had to pay a heavy price for their patriotism. Following the blasts inside the corridors of the assembly, both Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt courted arrest. Bhagat Singh was sent to the gallows in Lahore with his fellow comrades, after which he was cremated in Husainiwala on the banks of Satluj.
Thanks for staying with us. And now the latest on the AugustaWestland case. A Public Accounts Committee of Parliament headed by senior Congress leader KV Thomas is likely to take up the contentious AugustaWestland case. The matter has created a political firestorm both within and outside the Parliament. The panel that was reconstituted last week is also likely to continue with its inquiry into some aspects of the 2G scam, Commonwealth Games scam, as well as the issue of growing non-performing assets of public sector banks. Meanwhile, investigators have got some vital leads on the Indian contacts and fund sources of Christian Michel, the alleged defense middleman in the case. The leads came after interrogation of the middleman's local driver in Delhi. Investigators claim the driver was getting money through global wire fund transfer services till recently. Amidst the recent developments, Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar has said that those who were linked to the tainted VVIP chopper deal were given good positions following their retirement. Asserting that they were good to the powers at that time, Parrikar said it was now for the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate to decide whether to question the people concerned or not. On the other hand, former Defence Minister A.K. Antony has hit back at the BJP, saying the deviation in the tender process for purchasing the VVIP helicopters started back in 2003 during the NDA rule headed by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He claimed that it was during a meeting chaired by Brajesh Mishra in 2003 that the operational requirement was altered. And moving on now to all the election updates in our special segment, Verdict 2016. While touring the poll-bound southern states, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attacked the Congress over AugustaWestland deal. He said the country wants to know the names of those who had taken commission in the helicopter deal. Claiming that his government has taken steps, one after the other, to end corruption, Prime Minister Modi mentioned that not a single charge of corruption has been levelled against his government till now. Modi addressed 3 election meetings at Kasaragod, Kuttanad and Thiruvananthapuram in Kerala and Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu on Sunday. He attacked the previous Congress UPA regime and the Congress and left fronts in Kerala during the rallies, embarking on his second leg of electioneering for the 16th May Assembly polls in Kerala. Modi attacked the Congress and the CPIM-led fronts in Kerala and said they were instrumental in the growth of politics of compromise and contract, and said this hand-in-hand regime needs to end now.
कोयले का भ्रष्टाचार, 2G भ्रष्टाचार, 3G भ्रष्टाचार और 2G, 3G के तो बड़े-बड़े लोग यहाँ तमिलनाडु में हैं, जिन्होंने इतना भ्रष्टाचार किया, पूरा देश जानता है। और आजकल आपने अखबार में देखते होंगे, टीवी पे देखते होंगे, हेलीकॉप्टर में से भी रुपये मार लिए। और ये हम नहीं कह रहे हैं, इटाली की कोर्ट कह रही है, इटाली की कोर्ट। न तुम्हारी फाइल मैं खोलूंगा, न मेरी फाइल तुम खोलोगे, न मैं तुम्हें जेल भेजूंगा, न तुम मुझे जेल में भेजोगे। हम दोनों 5-5 साल भागीदारी करके ये लूटते रहेंगे, केरल को बर्बाद करते रहेंगे।
With the polling day drawing closer in Kerala, all parties in the state have gone into overdrive to try and reach out to their vote banks. Now, as the political parties are gearing up for a major showdown for the 16th May polls in the state, we'll get you the constituency profile of one of the seats in Ernakulam district. Take a look.
Kunnathanade is the only SC reservation seat in Ernakulam district. For the upcoming polls, VP Sajindran, the sitting MLA, is contesting on a UDF ticket. Shiji Shivaji for the LDF and Taravur Suresh for NDA. Kunnathanade has 1,70,327 eligible voters, of which 84,059 are male and 86,268 are female. The sitting MLA is VP Sajindran of the UDF, who defeated MM Surendran of the LDF by a margin of 8,732 votes last time.
ദളിതർ തിങ്ങിപ്പാർക്കുന്ന SC കോളനികളിൽ അടിസ്ഥാന സൗകര്യങ്ങൾ പോലുമില്ലാതെ കുടിവെള്ള പ്രശ്നം അതിരൂക്ഷമായി വളരെ ദയനീയമായ അവസ്ഥയിൽ കലക്കവെള്ളം മുക്കിവെച്ച് സ്വന്തം ഭക്ഷണം പാകം ചെയ്യുന്ന ദയനീയമായ അവസ്ഥയാണ് കണ്ടത്. മിക്കയിടങ്ങളിലും മേൽക്കൂര പോലുമില്ലാതെ കയറിക്കിടക്കാൻ ഷീറ്റ് വലിച്ചു കെട്ടിയ നിലയിൽ പാവപ്പെട്ടവരായ ദളിതർ തിങ്ങിപ്പാർക്കുന്ന.
The major problems facing the people of this constituency are lack of infrastructure, drinking water, housing issues and poor roads. The opposition blames the government for not carrying out any developmental activities in the region and neglecting the people of the constituency.
ഈ നാടിൻ്റെ സമഗ്രമായ വികസനത്തിന് സാധാരണക്കാരായ ജനങ്ങൾക്ക് ജീവിക്കാൻ യാതൊരു തരത്തിലും നിവൃത്തിയില്ലാത്ത ഈ അവസ്ഥയിൽ ഈ അഴിമതി ഭരണത്തിന് ഒരു അടിത്തറ അന്ത്യം കുറിക്കുന്നതിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ട് LDF സർക്കാർ കേരളത്തിൽ അധികാരത്തിൽ വരണം എന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് എൻ്റെ അഭിപ്രായം.
The LDF is hoping to cash in on the anti-incumbency factor and do well in the constituency. Elections in Kerala will be held in a single phase on May 16th and counting of votes will take place on May 19th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in neighbouring Tamil Nadu, politics over Amma Canteens have begun. Opposition parties want Amma's branding to be removed from the state-run canteens. They say just covering the face of the Chief Minister will not do. Take a look at this report.
Be it Chennai or Coimbatore, this is the scene outside every Amma canteen in Tamil Nadu. Because of the cheap meals, people wait in queues for their turn here. The AIDMK is very proud of the success of the scheme. The opposition, however, is unimpressed.
பொதுமக்களுக்கு என்ன போய் சேர்ந்திருக்கு? உருப்படியானது ஏதாவது போய் சேர்ந்திருக்கு? பேரளவு அந்த அம்மா அம்மா குடிநீர்னு சொன்னாங்க. குடிநீர்ன்றதை விற்கிற ஆட்சி இந்த ஆட்சியாக தான் இருக்குது. பாதுகாக்கப்பட்ட குடிநீர் எல்லாத்தையும் கொடுப்போம்னு சொன்னாங்க. இந்த அம்மா உப்பு, அம்மா உணவகம், அம்மா குடிநீர், இதெல்லாம் என்ன? அப்புறம் அம்மான்னு தான் போகலையே, என்ன அம்மா செஞ்சுருக்காங்க?
Especially Amma Unavagam, where we give idli for 1 rupee, chapati for 3 rupees. It is not at all possible anywhere in the world. It is only possible by Puruchi Talavi Amma.
The canteens serve breakfast and lunch, and the main reason for the popularity of Amma Canteens is the availability of cheap meals. At these canteens, a plate of idli sambar is available for 4 rupees, curd rice for 3 rupees, and dal rice, sambar rice, and lemon rice for just 5 rupees each. Raw material for the food is provided by the corporation. On a daily basis, more than 900 people eat at each of the Amma canteens. Over 12 women work at these canteens to ensure hygiene. The canteens are opened at public places like bus stands, railway stations and hospitals.
7 to 10:30. For members eating 300.
Amma Canteens in Tamil Nadu were started in 2013. The canteens have given more than 5,000 women employment who earn 10,000 rupees per month. More than 3 lakh people have food every day in Chennai's Amma Canteens.
Passenger, driver, conductor. I am so happy. Supply. I am very happy. 4 to 10, 6 members. 9 a.m. to 6 members. Lunch prepared.
சாம்பார் சாதம், தயிர் சாதம் சூப்பராக இருக்குது. சாம்பார் சாதம் 4 rupees, தயிர் சாதம் 3 rupees.
Many analysts believe the AIDMK's success in Tamil Nadu can be attributed to the success of the Amma Canteens in the state. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And moving on to some international updates, in neighbouring Nepal, the government has invited the Madhesi Front for talks in a fresh bid to resolve the political impasse. The invitation is to iron out differences over the new constitution. The government has sent a formal invitation to the United Democratic Madhesi Front. Over 50 people have lost their lives during the agitation by the Madhesis. The agitation, however, ended unexpectedly in February, just before Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's maiden visit to India without any political agreement. Madhesis had enforced months-long blockade of Nepal's all trading points with India, creating huge shortage of essential commodities in the country and souring the Indo-Nepal ties. The major political parties had amended some provisions of the constitution to address the demands of the agitating Madhesi Front, which rejected the move. Meanwhile, Nepal's ambassador Deep Kumar Upadhyay continues to stay put on his post in India 2 days after his country's government was said to have ordered his recall. He is charged with working against the interest of the KP Sharma Oli government in Nepal. And the Greek parliament has adopted a controversial package of pension cuts and tax hikes despite mass public opposition, bowing to creditor demands in a bid to unlock the next tranche of badly needed bailout funds. After a two-day heated debate and amid protests and strikes by labour unions, Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras' coalition, which has a thin parliamentary majority, secured enough votes to pass the reforms ahead of Eurogroup meeting. All 153 lawmakers in the left-right ruling coalition voted in favour of the bill. No opposition lawmakers supported it. The Eurozone's 19 finance ministers will discuss Greece's reform programme and a set of contingency measures it has been asked to adopt to ensure it achieves agreed fiscal targets in 2018.
Είμαστε αποφασισμένοι με κάθε τρόπο να ξαναστήσουμε την Ελλάδα στα πόδια της και να σπάσουμε αυτό το απόστημα της διαπλοκής, ότι αύριο είναι μια πολύ σημαντική μέρα. Μετά από 6 ολόκληρα χρόνια που ευρωπαϊκά όργανα συνεδριάζουν διαρκώς για να συζητήσουν για την ελληνική κρίση και συζητάνε μόνο για μέτρα λιτότητας, αύριο το Eurogroup θα συνεδριάσει με ημερήσια ατζέντα και την ελάφρυνση του ελληνικού χρέους.
Voting to elect the Philippines' next president began today after a rather acrimonious election campaign that revealed popular disgust with the country's ruling elite for failing to make inroads into poverty and inequality despite years of robust economic growth. 5 candidates are vying to succeed outgoing President Benigno Aquino, but opinion polls in the days ahead of the vote showed the final polls that put Rodrigo Duterte comfortably ahead of his 4 rivals for the presidency. More than half of the Southeast Asian country's population of 100 million people are registered as voters for today's election to choose a president, vice president, 300 lawmakers, and about 18,000 local government officials.
The PNP, in coordination with the armed forces of the Philippines, has deployed sufficient forces to ensure our people that the election day, tomorrow, will be peaceful, safe, and secure. The PNP, together with other agencies, are ready to secure all vital installation and economic key points and other places of convergence.
About a fifth of Fort McMurray homes in Canada have been ravaged by a huge wildfire. After touring the damage, MP David Yordiga said it might be years before the city was running normally again. More than 1 lakh residents of the city and surrounding area fled after an evacuation order was issued. Officials say the fire, now burning for a week, grew more slowly at the weekend than first feared. But it could be months before the fire is fully brought under control. Officials warned only significant rainfall could fully halt its spread. No deaths or injuries have been reported from the fire, but 2 people died in traffic accidents during the mass evacuation. The inferno looks set to become the costliest natural disaster in Canada's history. One analyst estimated insurance losses could exceed up to $7 billion. As much as a quarter of the country's oil production has been halted by the fire, raising concerns about the effect on the Canadian economy.
The fire reached approximately 161,000 hectares as of 10:30 a.m. this morning. This is quite a bit smaller than we had feared. Winds continue to blow the fire largely to the east away from the community. It is 30 to 40 kilometers from the border of Saskatchewan.
As of yesterday, there's 34 fires still burning in the province, but I can happily report as well that 31 of these fires are now either being held or brought under control.
Stargazers will have a rare opportunity today to witness Mercury fly directly across the face of the sun, a sight that unfolds once every 10 years or so, as Earth and its smaller neighbouring planet come into perfect alignment. Such a transit only rolls around 13 or 14 times each century. The next occasions will be in 2019 and 2032. The event is impossible and dangerous to view with the naked eye or binoculars, but astronomy groups worldwide will offer a chance to view it through filtered telescopes. Mercury will be seen as a tiny black disk, smaller but darker than many sunspots, slowly traversing the sun's giant yellow disk. And that's all we have for you in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.